Hey there viewers, December 15th, 2019, here today with the DeWalt DCF787 impact driver. If you have to do a service on one of these, to split the case you'll need a T10 driver, Torx. You can also use a angle style like this. All the screws on the case are the same length. Once you take the case screws out, you'll have to make a decision about the stickers. You can cut them or peel them back. If you peel them back, I found that using a drop of hot glue holding the edge down will put them back together nicely. So you peel back both stickers, remove all of the case screws, and then you can split the case in half. And you'll expect to see some grease here and outside of the case here. That's normal. If it's the first time you're opening your tool, this is also your opportunity to remove the built-in theft tag. There's no other way to get that out of there without splitting the case. So, to actually disassemble the entire machine, it's a little messy if you have all the grease in it, so this one I've already cleaned. Once you lift this out, there's the little switch selector for forward and reverse. Just pulls out right here. To take the light ring off, you just twist it and pull it off. You can just let that hang. And then to disassemble the gearbox assembly, which is where you want to do your service, just kind of grab, twist, and pull. As you can see, there's no grease inside this one right now. When you get ready to do the service on it, you'll actually want a driver bit or something to put in the end so you can turn it. What you'll want to do on this part here is put some oil underneath that thrust washer with an oiler like this maybe, and then fill the bottom portion with axle grease. And then for the hammer portion, which is this assembly here, you want to put some axle grease down inside this channel here where these balls ride. Also put some along the hammers, and then I would also pack this entire area with grease where the ring gear is, and put some inside the gear as well. And then this bearing can just take standard oil from a precision oiler and just fill the race with some oil. When you pull it apart, it's very likely that the gear and everything will just kind of come off in pieces. That's okay. If your O-ring is damaged and you need to replace it with a new one, you can get a new one at the hardware store. Here's the size. It's 1 3/4 by 1 7/8 by 1 16. It says it's also a number 92 O-ring. So when you get ready to reassemble it, you'll want to put obviously the gasket on first, and then this just kind of presses into the opening, and then this gear can go on, and you have to kind of make sure this is centered. It should turn freely when it's fully seated. If everything's turning freely, then you can take your housing and just kind of seat it, and it'll only go in a couple of positions thanks to these notches here in the case, and there's notches here, so you have to line that up and then just push and twist a little to seat it all the way, and it should drop all the way down. And then of course you want to just turn it so that this is the bottom half where the case aligns right here, and then you can put the light ring back on and put this back in the case. A couple points to note: the wiring for the light ring, you need to make sure you don't pinch it, and these wires here, you got to make sure they're inside the case before you try and squeeze the two halves together so you don't cut anything. So as far as how does the tool actually work, so you have a socket here and you're trying to tighten or loosen it. It's directly connected to a hammer inside here, and what actually happens is, if you envision this trying to be turned left or right to drive the socket, this is the piece that does the driving. And when you apply torque to this, these gears are turned by the motor. What actually happens is, as soon as this meets resistance, it drops down or pulls away from the hammer, and it does that in both directions, as you can see. So what actually happens is, as the motor continues to apply torque, this will twist and pull away from the hammer and then kind of snap over the top and pop back down on the other side, at which point it speeds up, and since this is a fairly large mass, it speeds up and hits the opposite side of this thing and pushes it. So that's where the impact idea comes from, is we accelerate this washer, which is a fairly heavy mass, and slam it into another piece to transmit that energy.